Mounting evidence now points to a disturbing link between high consumption of ultra-processed foods and an increased risk of various cancers, particularly colorectal and breast cancer. These associations are not coincidental or merely the result of poor lifestyle habits that accompany a processed diet. They are increasingly understood to be a consequence of the harmful components and systemic damage inflicted by these foods themselves. While cancer is a multifactorial disease influenced by genetics, environment, and lifestyle, diet is one of the most modifiable risk factors, and ultra-processed foods are emerging as a clear threat. One of the most alarming aspects of ultra-processed foods is the sheer number of synthetic additives, preservatives, coloring agents, emulsifiers, and artificial flavors used in their production. Many of these substances have not been studied adequately for long-term safety when consumed chronically over decades. Some, such as nitrates and nitrites used in processed meats, have already been classified by the World Health Organization, WHO, as probable carcinogens, with strong evidence linking them to colorectal cancer. These compounds can convert into nitrosamines in the digestive tract, highly reactive molecules that damage DNA and initiate cancerous mutations in colon cells. In addition to chemical additives, the structure and quality of ultra-processed foods themselves pose risks. They are often loaded with refined carbohydrates and sugars, which spike blood glucose and insulin levels repeatedly. This chronic elevation promotes inflammation and stimulates the production of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1. A hormone known to encourage the proliferation of cancer cells. IGF-1 has been implicated in breast, prostate, and colorectal cancers. The combination of high sugar intake, persistent inflammation, and hormonal disruption creates a fertile environment for tumor development and growth. Furthermore, many ultra-processed foods contain industrial seed oils that are prone to oxidation. When exposed to high temperatures during manufacturing or cooking, such oils can form lipid peroxides and other oxidative byproducts, which contribute to cellular damage and may act as tumor promoters. Repeated exposure to these compounds not only stresses the body's detoxification systems, but can also introduce genotoxic agents that further destabilize cellular DNA integrity. Packaging materials, too, add to the carcinogenic potential of ultra-processed foods. Many are wrapped or stored in plastic materials containing endocrine-disrupting chemicals like bisphenol A, BPA, or phthalates, which can leach into the food, especially when heated. These chemicals mimic hormones in the body and have been associated with increased risks of hormone-sensitive cancers, such as breast and ovarian cancer. Although some regulatory agencies have begun to restrict the use of BPA in food packaging, substitutes may not be much safer. Early studies suggest that BPA alternatives like BPS and BPF can exert similar endocrine-disrupting effects. Another less obvious, but equally dangerous factor is the ultra-low fiber content of these foods. Dietary fiber not only supports healthy digestion but also plays a protective role in preventing colon cancer. It helps speed up waste elimination, reducing the contact time between potential carcinogens and the intestinal lining. Fiber also feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, a compound shown to reduce inflammation and inhibit tumor growth in the colon. By stripping out fiber and microbiome-supportive compounds, ultra-processed foods dismantle one of the body's natural defenses against cancer development. Epidemiological studies increasingly reinforce these biological concerns. A major French cohort study, Nutrinet Santé, which tracked over 100,000 adults, found that every 10% increase in the proportion of ultra-processed foods in the diet was associated with a statistically significant increase in overall cancer risk and an even stronger association with breast cancer. These findings held true even after adjusting for weight, smoking, alcohol, and exercise, underscoring that the food itself, not just unhealthy behavior patterns, is likely contributing directly to carcinogenesis. Similar associations have been reported in UK and Brazilian studies, suggesting the risks are not confined to any one population or cultural context. The long latency period of many cancers makes these dangers even more insidious. People may eat ultra-processed foods for years or decades before a diagnosis arises, and by then, the cumulative damage has already been done. This delay can foster a dangerous false sense of security. Someone may feel fine for years while consuming large quantities of processed snacks, deli meats, sugary drinks, and frozen meals, all the while accumulating cellular damage and hormonal imbalances that set the stage for cancer to take root. Moreover, for individuals who already have a cancer diagnosis or a genetic predisposition, ultra-processed foods can worsen outcomes. These foods impair immune function, increase oxidative stress, and contribute to metabolic dysregulation, all of which make it harder for the body to suppress tumor growth or respond effectively to treatment. And because these foods are often consumed during times of stress or illness for their convenience and comfort, they can inadvertently undermine recovery when the body is most vulnerable. In the broader context of public health, the normalization of ultra-processed food consumption is accelerating cancer risk on a population level. With these products occupying an ever larger share of the global diet, often marketed as quick, affordable, and satisfying, the burden of diet-related cancers is rising silently. Young people are developing colorectal cancer at higher rates than ever before, a trend that parallels the growing prevalence of processed diets and early life exposure to harmful food environments. Ultimately, the cancer risk posed by ultra-processed foods is not speculative. It is a growing reality supported by a convergence of laboratory findings, clinical research, and real-world data. These foods are not simply unhealthy in the traditional sense. They are structurally and chemically damaging at a cellular level, capable of initiating and accelerating one of the most feared diseases of our time. Reducing or eliminating ultra-processed foods from the diet may be one of the most critical and underappreciated steps in cancer prevention. It is not merely a matter of eating clean. It is a matter of protecting DNA integrity, hormonal balance, immune surveillance, and the fundamental biology that keeps cells healthy and free from malignancy. Without this awareness, millions remain at risk, unknowingly fueling the very disease processes they hope to avoid.